Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about My Hero Academia chapter. And yes, this review, we did not do a reaction. Our lovely Asian boy Sam is not here today with us here. He's busy doing life stuff. So it's just us, the trio. We're here to talk about My Hero. Big chapter. So if you're an anime only, get out. We have a lot of love. We have a lot of love here. But at the same time, if you want to be a spoiler, stay here to like Scuba always be watching us, and he don't even be catching up. I'm like, why? Why you do this to yourself? Other than that, let's get started.
Oh, Steve.
Welcome, Anime Lily fans. How you guys doing? LegendDVash as always, right here. The Kim Games Refi down below is a JBXclusive from the host of Villains every Friday night that you guys should be watching. And we're here to talk about My Hero Academia chapter 306. The final act begins. Woo! Wow. How did it always feel? Because technically, I have to ask myself even, like, how did we all feel? Because I didn't
so
even
you
react.
get to start this week. Tell me about it. How'd you feel?
So, since me and Sam, I'll tell you guys a little funny story. It's been like 2 or 3 years since I have not read scans. And you know what? I read a scan last night because, me and Sam did not do a reaction. So, like, I'm curious. Hey, I was curious about it. I got spoiled from the panel already. Me and James talked about it briefly. So I was like, yo, what? Damn. So I was like, you know what? Since there's no reaction tomorrow, let me just see it. And I'm like, why do people read scans? They're ugly as shit.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
I've been telling people that for years. They're ugly as shit and they're translated terribly.
And I'm like, scans used to look better than that like 5 years ago when I used to read Naruto, One Piece scans and everything. Like, how do people read scans too?
Like scans way back in the day were decent because it was literally somebody like
actually working a department and
like somebody like would buy them and upload them like page for page. Like
yeah.
And it, now they just are lazy.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
They're so bad.
I'm like, what the fuck?
That's why I started just awaiting for officials every week because it's just it's so much easier to read.
Yeah, I stopped reading scans for Attack on Titan like 15 chapters ago because the dialogue is just awful. It's awful and it doesn't match at all.
But this was the art for me. The art for me was just horrible. I'm like, how do people read this? Like, the dialogue was almost the same, but still wasn't as clear as the official. But I'm so happy I read the official again today. And like, I was going to either way. And goddamn, it hit even harder to understand the actual correct lighting and writing of what it was supposed to be said. Knowing what happened at the end. The eyes of Deku, knowing Uraraka saying you dummy. It's like, damn. Like, it shows the love in that one line. Showing like, damn, you idiot. Like, what you're doing, like, why?
And like it, but she knows why. And that's the thing, though. She knows why, but she's like, God dang, you dumb. But she knows exactly why he's doing what he's doing and that he needs to. And I love that. Like, you could get all that from that conversation if you've been reading this entire time, is all I'm saying. But James, how'd you feel about this chapter?
I loved it. I honestly didn't really expect most of this to happen. Definitely the conversation between Hawks, Best Genius, and All Might. Like, I was waiting for that to happen, and I was very excited to see it happen. And now All Might's gonna tell them everything because we've gotten to a point where society itself is broken, and this secret needs to be told to the people that need to know. In order for them to know what they're fighting for and what they're trying to preserve, they have to have all of the information, and I'm glad that All Might knew that, and he's going to tell them absolutely everything. I wasn't here last week, but one thing that I loved from that last chapter was that conversation between Deku and the predecessors, them testing his resolve to see what he would say, to see if he would jump straight to murder. It's like, that's not what a hero does. A hero's place is to try to save him. And even Deku says, like, I'm going to try to save him first. I don't know what I'm going to do once I get to that moment, but my job, I think there is a higher purpose for One for All, and I'm going to try to save this kid. And just seeing how he looks in that last panel, you can see that there's a new resolve in Deku, a new sense of self, a new sense of what he needs to do. And man, I love this chapter.
This was, and I was telling you guys before, I was like, of all the chapters we had recently, this one was, the most light, in air quotes. But it was the most, I feel like, transitional chapter we've had in a bit. Like, this takes the series into a whole different direction.
That press conference was pretty heavy, bro.
It was basically our look at how people actually feel about what happened. and how they were affected. That's what we've been asking for. I was like, we needed to see that. Thank goodness.
I love this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say, like, what you were saying, because this press conference really reminded me a lot of Marvel and DC Comics, like when heroes like Superman, Batman, and like Captain America, Iron Man, like when those heroes know they fuck up and they have to represent what they do.
So like, you know what? I'm actually gonna disagree with you there, because they don't ever have to have that much responsibility for things. Not anymore. Back when they were just getting started in their origins, they did. But as things went on, no, when they fucked up, it's just they just know that they were going to fuck up. And the public knew that. You don't really get this in Marvel Comics no more about the public's perspective. Not really. Let's be honest.
It happened in Civil War in that arc. It happened in Civil War.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But more, I'm speaking about those type of times when, like, in the 2000s, in the 90s, when we saw it in those type of issues. Not in the most recent, because now we don't really get that. But I was talking more like this reminded me.
Now the world is ending every book, so it's different.
Very true.
But yeah, I feel you. But it's just like, I don't think there's that much self-responsibility anymore in these modern comics here in the US. But I see what you're saying. It's just, I think that this is very culturally important, because they know that they have to address the people and reassure them that they are going to do their job, because like they just said, everything, like that, and to boil it down, everything's bad and we want to know what y'all gonna do.
Yeah.
It's true, because that's what Endeavor, like, as much as well, I saw some other people comment about it last night and this morning about what Endeavor said again, like, just watch me. Like, yeah, he used the same line, but the line is powerful in itself. He said, just watch me. Yeah, as much as I could talk and prove you guys we will do better or not do better, whatever it is, because he said it to the reporter when she said, what you gonna do about the people's lives? Like, how are you gonna do this?
You know why he said that? It's because actions speak louder than words.
Correct.
He can talk all he wants, but in order for, he can say whatever he wants, and he basically said it. I can say whatever I want, but you can either choose to believe me or not. I'm gonna go out there and do my job as Endeavor, and that's how I'm gonna atone for the things that have happened recently and the mistakes that I've made. I can't say more than that.
Yeah, it's like, would it make you happier if I cried, if I just said I'm sorry a bunch of times? Amazing. Like, that's not going to help anything. Just watch me. See what we are going to do. The heroes that won't stand by, that won't quit, that will stand up and prove to people what heroes are actually about. Just watch me. Yep. I love that.
I do too.
And that's Endeavor taking his own path. That's another moment that shows that he took All Might's words to heart. Like, don't try to be a symbol like me. Be your own type of symbol. And that's the symbol of someone that just gets the job done. And I'm very excited to see what the top 3 heroes are going to do after the events of this chapter.
Yeah, but man, I'm telling you. So I guess just to not jump too far ahead, Hawks, All Might, and Genist, them now getting to learn everything about what's happening, I feel like will actually benefit them more, because now there are more people who have insight into what they can do to help stop All For One, which is really good. You know what I'm saying? All Might has been shouldering this by himself, and then with Deku for a very long time, and that's a huge burden. And now that they brought some folks, yeah, I mean,
even though he's dead, I know. I'm just saying.
But it's just, so now they've now shared this burden with other people. Now that it's out there, and I think that's going to make, I don't want to say easier, but it'll make it easier for other folks to want to be more involved, because now they will understand the gravity of the situation legitimately. Which I'm like, yep, I need this. I need this. And I mean, so, and just to kind of answer Perm's question real quick, Deku's light it's not a question. Deku's light has been extinguished. I wouldn't say it's been extinguished. It has been brightened. He now has a complete focus. He knows what he's doing. That flame there's been gas thrown on it, because now he knows exactly what he has to do. He has a goal. And that's where he going. And yeah, I saw the comment about the long neck. I said the same thing.
Yo, like, I was questioning that too. So I was questioning that too in that page. I think was it when they were doing the press conference. In page 9 and 8 and everything. I'm like, yo, why is the neck so long? What, like, who must he go to a specialist to have that neck extra.
You think he went to so? You know, he made that his damn self.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry,
exactly.
Yeah.
Gina's always got to be extra. He was like, my neck got to be extra long, bro.
But damn, I didn't notice that when I was reading, like, yo, what's wrong with this dude? Like, is the neck just that long? Like,
I mean, have you noticed his regular outfit covers his neck hella high? So yeah, his neck long as hell.
Damn, that's wild.
One of my favorite parts of this chapter, and what I love about what Horikoshi does with this story in general, is just that it's so realistic, right? Like, you have the people that's watching the press conference from home. Oh, it's all over for that dude. How terrible. I was rooting for him too. Like, all of these people, like, these are things that we need to see. We need to see how the people see the heroes. And I thought this was very important. Yeah, I thought this was very important for the people to see how they're reacting to Endeavor, and the fact that he was, you know, even willing to tell the truth about what happened. Because even one of the people watching it on the news, he should have just said it was all lies.
I think
no.
I think that was I think that was the fan of his, the one that had the pink hair. Is the one back in the anime. I think that was the one
Natsu?
Natsu.
Yeah, the Natsu one. Yeah,
yes.
Because that reaction of the dude in the panel looks like the same guy that's a fan of his. So I think, you know, and when you're a fan, you will want that person to look good. So that's what he said. So, he should have just lied, you know, a bunch of lies.
I thought that this was a really good example of never meet your heroes, because like they're learning that their heroes are people,
human, yeah,
and they make mistakes, and because of their pedestals and their positions, their mistakes are magnified 10,000 times, because there are so many people that are like relying on their do things. So when it's revealed that they have flaws and they're human, people like their doubt is a killer. You know what I'm saying? And now with people doubting them, Genus and Hawk said something really important. Now it's not just the villains we're against, but we're fighting against society as well. That's a huge hill to push a boulder up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really to see how they do it. I'm like, I want to see how Horikoshi shapes this and pushes it forward, because goddamn, that line was strong.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my favorite parts of what these characters are going through right now is the fact that All Might has created this world of absolute peace, and now people get to see what life is like when things are rough, and how the other heroes and just the people in society have to come together to fix it, because it can't be on the shoulders of just one person. So I love that Horikoshi is actually taking us on this journey, because not a lot of other stories do that kind of stuff. Like, I can't really think of that many anime and manga that actually dive into these types of stories.
Not off the top of my head, me neither. Seriously. And I think that's why it's special. But I also feel like that this is where people kind of get into the weeds of like their criticisms about My Hero, and it's because it does take steps away from what you potentially think you should be seeing. And so a lot of people get into, oh, well, I wish he had done more of this, or he should have done more of that. And it's because you think that you know how this story should be done.
And that's a problem. That's a problem with shonen anime. Like, so many of them follow so many of the same tropes throughout the entire series that people just expect that from My Hero. And when they put those false expectations on My Hero, it's not living up to their expectations, but you put wrong expectations into the story.
Like, I mean, and that's on you. That's not on the writer.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel that way. You can feel however you want. You can think whatever you want. We've talked about this before. In this chapter, they confirmed that they should not share the secret about All for One to the public for a reason. Like, people know within like the school and people who are fighting to stop All for One, they know now, which is fine, but society shouldn't know. Here we go. Like, I want to see what happens from here. Is this a secret that the villains didn't decide to leak? Because now they know that will cause further chaos. But we also found out that Deku being the last one doesn't really matter. You know, at least to me. So goodness gracious. But
in my eyes, I still don't see All for One ever revealing it. Like,
I mean,
I don't see.
I don't think he doesn't want competition. He don't want people to try and stop him from getting what he wants. You know, he only wants people to help him get what he wants. Straight up.
But to add one more thing about this conference and everything, I love how the reporter said, like, how about my mother who was horribly wounded and a lot of people that lost their homes throughout this whole case with the villains? How would you feel about that? What would you do? And to add to what James said much earlier, it's like instead of me trying to talk to you guys about it, just watch me. Like I will do what I can with the heroes and everything. And it's so sad to hear what Best Genius did, saying like, yet our ranks have been shrinking. We will do the best we can with the UA school and what requires our protection. So I love how they acknowledge that for them to do good, they need to have the parents in the most secure place in UA, so their students and the other heroes could do what they can to protect without them trying to worry about the parents or about their family.
I mean, like I said, so the families are just the start. They're going to actually put like other people in the surrounding areas into these schools. But this also told me that we're going to get to see those other students again from those other schools, which made me happy. Like, I'm like, yes, please, because I want to see how they've leveled up. Our tornado boy, I don't remember his name, forgive me, I don't remember everything from my hero. I want to see him again and what he can do now.
He was strong as Boku and plus to the rookie and everything. So like, damn, my baby's strong.
Those two have leveled up since then, so I would love to see how far he's gone.
Hell yeah.
On the topic of the press conference, can we talk about Hawks admitting that he killed twice?
Absolutely. Like, he said exactly what we hoped he would say.
Mm-hmm. Like, I love the way it was handled because of exactly how he explained it, right, Ray? Like, it was the only option that I saw that was viable. Mm-hmm. Like, I tried to bring him from the brink. I tried to bring him from where he was within the League of Villains. It didn't work, and his quirk is just too powerful. And if I didn't stop him, there would be 10 times more devastation. Exactly. So it's like, I just had to do what I had to do, right? Exactly. And I love that people somewhat accepted it. Like, I still expect to see some people not being okay with it, but for the most part, I'm okay with the fact that people actually got it.
I mean, like, yeah, but like, I feel like overall, like that's the end of that. Like, that's done. He did what he had to do, and he's the only person who they would have even accepted doing it. Like, to be completely honest, at best, Gina's going to kill this dude. They'd be like, what the that's so out of character for you. But Hawks is such a wild card that I can see why they'd be like, oh, well, if you say it like that, I guess so. It's my guess.
And plus, talking about Hawks, it's just crazy how he actually, like, not crazy, but like, I'm happy he admitted, and the public press understood that he had no choice to kill Uraraka because he said about the quirk. He said if this quirk couldn't be controlled, and if he was out in the streets, it would have caused havoc. And he acknowledged that this was the only thing that he had to do was to kill him.
So, I mean, the line that was most important to me there was, I couldn't find a proper way to help him atone for his crimes.
Yeah, that.
Thank you.
And that is truly a shame. It speaks to my lack of character. He took the blame for that because he thought he had no other way.
Right. And he couldn't find another way, like, at the moment, because of his lack of character. And that's
a great hero moment.
That's literally what he says. That's a fantastic moment for him.
Because like, that's human. That's human.
I mean, but he takes full responsibility. But then he goes on to like justify why he thought that, and which I'm like, that was it. Like that's that. I feel like that literally is the open and shut on that. It's like this is why he did it, and he explains that it's on him. Yo, thank you. Like, like I was like, wow, that he really just did that.
Yeah,
come on now, I love that. I'm like, well, Hawks is a hero through and through. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me otherwise. He's not a perfect hero, but the boy's a hero, straight up.
Yeah, and he also apologized for like leaving out the information about his parents. Like, these are important things. Like, these are the moments that make real heroes, bro. Like, having powers and fighting villains is great, but watching heroes in these types of moments is what makes them heroes, man. Like, owning up to their mistakes, looking to atone for them, trying to be better people in order to be better heroes. Like, those are the important moments, man. Let's hit this super chat.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
Who's that? Who's that from? Man, you gonna make me read this name?
Yep, that's what I said to you.
What is it?
I'm about to ruin your name.
I am so sorry if I butchered that.
Sarcerins Defarinian. That sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. But if you tell us how to say your name in chat phonetically, I'll try my best to say it there. But
yes, I apologize for butchering it.
So your questions are Dobby's words at the end of the chapter connected? or Darby's words at the end of the chapter connected. If vigilante work is the next step, what does this mean for Shoto Bakugo? Not gonna lie, I assume Shoto would start the vigilante path for the next gen. So I don't know if I consider it vigilante work because they have their licenses. Vigilante is a person who doesn't have their license. They have their licenses. Right. So I don't think it's vigilante. It's more them being heroes without supervision, essentially, which I still don't think is vigilantism. That's my personal opinion, but as somebody who's reading vigilantes, that's how they've explained it. Vigilante is a person who doesn't have a hero license and is using their powers to save people in that regard.
Right.
So, because with Deku, he just left UA because he didn't want to continue his hero course, but he already got his license because of the provisional exam. So already had his license ahead of others that when they're supposed to do it by the third year. So, hey, it is props to him for that. But speaking about that being in that same panel, we saw Washer, we saw Dragon Waifu, we saw
Wash. Like, stop bullying Wash. Wash is so cute and also just wants to do their job.
Yeah, it's just staring at the phone like, oh my god,
I want to do my job.
But we finally got Miracle, and we got Razorhead with an eye patch where we predicted that was gonna happen.
But the best one for me, we got confirmation of Dragon Waifu and Kamui. Kamui's okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that arm and that face and everything, he looks. Okay.
Although, by the way, so I was like, maybe that wasn't Dragon Waifu. Was that Mount Lady top left? Now that I was thinking about it,
That looks like
now that
Dragon
you think about
Waifu.
it, but the mask though, isn't that?
That's Midnight's mask. I thought
That looks like Midnight Max and Dragon Waifu and her are very close together. And Midnight.
So, but I don't know. I was like, it could be Mount Lady, could be. I don't know. So, chat don't know because they know exactly how they look, y'all perverts.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but
yeah,
I love.
Go for it.
Go ahead, Ray.
No, that was Mount Lady. Thank you, Pedro. See, Pedro wouldn't know. He's like, I'd recognize that
Pedro.
ass anywhere. That's her own mask. Okay, good. There you go. But the reporter that speaks up and kind of lashes out at them, that's like, I feel like that's also really important, but not because of that. It's just that also they didn't downplay what they were saying. They listened. They took what they were saying because they knew that they were justified in feeling that way. I also really love and respect that because it's like, you would think they would get defensive. No, they accepted it and told them what they were going to do. And I'm like, that there to me, that's also very powerful because they know that what these people are saying and feeling is also true and relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
But I'm really curious about Miracle because one, we just see her putting in a belt or some type of strap around her arm, but we don't see what if she has a prosthetic arm.
Yeah, we do.
What we saw,
you clearly see something there off to the side. Look at it. Look closer, my friend. Use your special eyes. She is definitely buckling something to her arm.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like I would have loved to have seen some type of confirmation about if she had a.
That's a confirmation. Use your imagination.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, she would have no other reason to buckle something to her arm. But, I mean, true. We'll see that the next time she actually gets into a fight.
But girl's ready to fight. Her eyes, girl's ready to fight again. Like she has that, the fire to just go out and raise her head.
That's what they're saying there. Some heroes are still prepared to stand up and fight. Even though they have been beaten and bruised and maimed, they're still ready to do what they know is right.
Yeah, this was definitely like one of my favorite panels because they're also being inspired by Endeavor.
Exactly.
Endeavor is dealing with so much, and for him to stand there in front of everyone with such bravery, telling them all I want.
James?
Oh, did we just lose James? Frick!
And in the most awkward freeze frame, he froze.
Oh no! Oh no!
So while we get James back,
wait for James to get back. Yeah.
I love how Eraserhead with his eye patch and everything. I'm curious to know how his powers going to be used now since he needs his eyes to would it be?
He still has one eye, bro.
But I'm saying, would it be much more weakened now? Like, could he last longer now? Would he last less?
So the way I'm assuming is it's still gonna work. He got one eye. All he has to do is keep eye contact. You know, he's fine. So he's just missing an eye. I don't think it weakens based on how many eyes he's got. I mean, but I will say my boy looks tired. He looks real tired, and I feel so bad for him because he done been just put through the ringer, bro, both emotionally and physically. My man needs a break, or that's why he was asleep all the time. He knew this was coming.
He's like, I'm tired, man. And plus, who was it that asked? I think it was Pedro. Did she lose a leg? Yes, she lost a leg and an arm.
She lost a leg and an arm.
She lost, I think, the right leg and left arm, if I remember correctly. So she did lose 2 pieces of her body right there. So we just need to find out what's gonna happen with those.
So I wouldn't say half strength. I would just say that he just has like half the view, and because it's half the view, he won't be able to see as like he'll have to move a lot more. But I feel like the strength probably shouldn't wane. Like I feel like that's. To me, that doesn't make sense because that would mean that each of his eyes, like that would mean that one eye would have to be stronger than the other based on how actual vision works. You know, so I think it's just.
Also, he lost an ankle as well. So I'm curious to know if he got.
He cut off a foot, bro. He lost a whole foot.
Okay, I'm sorry that he didn't lose an ankle. He cut off an ankle. So
yeah, he cut off a whole foot. So yeah, somebody said in chat, yeah, he became a pirate, lost a leg and an eye. Yep, we got to call him Captain Aizawa now.
I just put those two together. Wow. Aizawa can choose which eye to look at now.
I mean, I guess this is Horikoshi's homage to Sasuke. Got him.
Wow.
Sorry, Boruto fans. I apologize. But anyway, I want to. So before James gets back, there's one more thing that I want to kind of talk about. Is that also in that same inspirational moment where Endeavor is inspiring the heroes to take action again? Guess who else is inspired to do more? Toya. And I'm like, oh no. Well, that means we're gonna see him again soon. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm curious to know what's his plan to do more damage.
Yeah, I'm like, what he said. So I didn't go far enough. So, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna do that thing that James was talking about. He's gonna go after the family now.
Yep. So I'm curious to know, like, is he going more to the family or more to the city, but his goal is not really the city or the whole society. His damage is more the family, but involves the city. So it's gonna be more towards the mother, maybe Natsuo, or maybe
that's what I'm saying. I think that's how we get more of the family. Is because he goes after them, personally. Yeah, James lost internet. Frick.
Yeah, I was about to tell the chat about that, but yeah, you just gave me the trouble for that.
It's a live reaction, y'all. Yeah. So he's waiting for it to come back now. So he'll be back as soon as that is back. I don't want to go too far.
But for now, while James comes back, we could answer some questions that we saw here.
Yeah, let's answer the questions from the chat. What did we miss? Because I mean, there was a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a lot here. So okay. So I'm gonna read from the top. Pedro says, "Hello guys, been a very busy week. Couldn't make it to the week stream, but glad to be free today. Love the chapter. Dope. They said fantastic chapter, but I feel conflicted. I didn't want a time skip. I wanted more of a non-Deku stuff, but this hit me in the right spot. I agree. I wish we saw the conversation with all my telling Best Genius and everything. Like that's how I see it. I want
to be honest.
I know you're about to say what it is.
It would have slowed it down so much more. It was already so slow.
I would have loved to see Best Genius and Hawk's reaction. Like, oh, this was a power passed down and everything. Like, I would love to see their understanding. I know it's not needed.
Them telling us like everything we already know.
But
I don't need to see their reactions because
you could skip All Might's point of view.
You got two of the least emotional people like in the story. What are they gonna be? Oh, they're cool. Literally.
I'm saying you could skip All Might talking, just put that like to show the panel of him talking, but show their reaction. Why? Show their I don't know. That's what I want to do.
These are the two most least like emotional people in the entire story. They'll be like they would have just stared at him the same way. All right, and the Hawks would have been there on his phone. Tap, 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 lit.
We work with Sam. He gives a good reaction sometimes too. He's the least emotional of all of us.
Whatever, bro. Anyway, yeah, I'm just like it would have been this like we already know everything he's about to tell them. So I'm like, I feel like it would have been. I don't want to say a waste, but it just would have slowed down the story even more because it had gotten really slow there. Like it really did. And I feel like this was the perfect way to like kick it back in. And when I say this, I wouldn't even never say it was a time skip. It was just a progression, if you ask me. Not much. Because chat, and then we had this question earlier. Welcome back, James. How much time do you think we can't hear you yet, James?
So sorry about that.
That's all good. How much time do you think has passed?
So from what the chapter
because I feel like what I guessed is that I'm just talking about this entire arc. I feel like this entire arc took a month in that time. I think I don't know, but I thought it was just a month because I thought that all of this happened Like everything started at the start of March, and now it's April. I could be wrong though.
I would say it's about a month too. I don't know if it's a full month, but like 3 weeks, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
So
man, so much shit happened to them in a month. Oh my god.
So Diego said as well, 2 weeks. And the Vince said 4 months. So like we're back to April. So I think I don't do this a lot. I've only done this for One Piece. But I might actually reread this from chapter like 240, like from where this war started to now, to have a understanding with the timeline, because this is very intriguing to know where the March, winter, April is, like where things happen according. I really want to have a better understanding with that.
Well, so I think it's about right what I was saying. It's been about a month. This whole thing. From March to where we are now. And by the way, so I guess I wanted to hit that line again. Guess the heroes put through a sieve. Then, so basically he's talking about if you define a hero as someone people can look up and count on, then the heroes really did vanish that day. Hey, yo!
He's not wrong.
Wow.
Maybe Deku the one that said that line.
Can you imagine being someone who loved heroes and then saw them just all retire because they were too scared?
Isn't Deku essentially the one narrating all this? So yeah, Deku did say this, didn't he?
That all heroes were gone. All heroes.
That was my interpretation anyway.
Oh wow, damn, that's wild.
Bruh. Bruh.
One of the comments I saw in the beginning that we missed, so I think that we didn't speak about, even though it's kind of jumping to the end, but the chat said that they asked, do you think Gran Torino is dead since he's wearing the scarf and everything, and 3 days has passed and everything? Do you think he's either dead, alive, or because we know that the most past predecessor Nana asks, go talk to Gran Torino after this because he's alive. So do you think there was a conversation and he passed off screen, or what do you guys have your prediction? Like, how do you guys feel about him wearing the scarf and everything? Like, even though we jump into that panel, but they asked that in the beginning of the stream, so I want to know your guys' thoughts about that.
So I have two thoughts. Either he's fine, but he's very injured and it's going to take him a longer time to recover because he's old, or and you know, as much as I wouldn't like it, I would understand why he had a soft passing off screen, because once again, it would have slowed it down, like personally. Because then think about how you have to gather all the emotions of all the people connected to him in one space. That would have been at least 3 chapters, I think, because any less than that would have been like, you know, a slap in the face. But I could understand why people would be upset if that's something that happens where he kind of died off screen. But I'm also like, a lot of people died off screen, if you think about it. So, I mean, yes, while he's really important, I can understand. I think I can conceptualize why Horikoshi would have not put on screen, but I don't think he did that. I think that he's alive. He's fine. He just that he passed off his cape, or Deku saw it and took it to, you know, basically to pay homage to him, the people who trained him. So I don't think so, but I could see why potentially. Not saying I like it, but yeah, I guess. If they did, but I'm putting my piece down on that he's alive.
I think the moment to kill Gran Torino was during the fight with Shigaraki. If he didn't die in that moment, there's no point in killing him right at this moment or off screen. Mm-hmm. So I think he's just so badly injured that he's effectively retired.
Yep. And I mean, he was retired anyway. They brought him out of retirement.
Yeah, and he came back
many times. Yeah,
but yeah, true. I think he's definitely definitely effectively retired. And he gave Deku the cape to honor him, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is now on you to take all of our hopes and dreams, right? Like, because his teachers were Gran Torino and All Might. So I feel like he's just taking the cape to pay respects to the hero that was Gran Torino. But I don't think he's dead. The moment to kill him was during that fight with Shigaraki. It would have been more poetic that way too.
And I think we've said that like every time this has been brought up. Like, I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely agree with that. I mean, it would have been more impactful, literally.
So, from my opinion on this topic, I agree with what James and Ray have said as well. I don't think he's dead. I think he's officially retired. Like, he's like, yo, guys, I can't go back on the field. I'm done. I'm done. So I think he's like done going back on the field. He's officially retired. And Deku, like, he's one of the mentors that, you know, help him with his full cowling and have a better understanding with his quirk and everything. So Deku took his scarf and everything to represent that for him, and he was one of his mentors. And like he's a retired and he's gone on his field, so he want to have All Might, representing the suit he had when All Might first started, and when a scarf for Gran Torino. That's why he's holding it so tight at that panel, showing how much he has learned from it and everything. And Gran Torino, like, if he did that off screen, yes, I understand people would be mad about, but at the same time, Hori will leave that for better
and they have a
closure
right
at
to be mad about that. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think he'll be gone for
I for one don't want him to be dead, because I need the equivalent of Gran Torino saying, I'm too old for this shit. I need that panel real bad. So Sony brings up a good point. I'm still shocked he survived Shiggy's assault. And I've said this, and I will keep saying this. I think Shiggy pulled his punch when he hit him. Because in a split second, it hit him as to who that was, potentially. I still think he pulled that punch, because there's no way that punch, he punched through the Dragon Waifu's hand. There's no way he couldn't. He absolutely should be able to punch through that old ass man.
His strength is on par with All Might at 100%.
So I still definitely think he pulled that punch.
And people will switch on this opinion once the anime will give a better clarification, just like JJK has done better clarification for the manga. So people will switch once they see this anime in season 6 or 5, wherever this lands on. People have a better clarification to know, oh, he did pull his punch, because it shows it much clearer for them to understand that's what happened. Because I assume the same thing, that he pulled his punch because, hey, he's like, oh damn, I'm about to punch this dude and die right now. Wait, no, I'm gonna take that bit back. You still punch the shit out of him, but I'm gonna pull this back. That's why I saw as well.
I personally don't want to see that. I want it to play out exactly the same way it does in the manga.
Yep, I do too. Exactly. I wanted to show because he still hit him hard as hell.
Oh, he
still hit him, but
he didn't use all his strength.
Exactly. But I mean, I could also see stuff like, oh well, he was still like regenerated, blah, blah, but I want to believe that he pulled that punch when he hit him, because there's no way he couldn't have punched right through that old ass man. Ain't no way.
Literally through him.
There's a guy
through a dragon early.
There's a guy named Sam Chan asking, what do you guys think about Walking Dead City? Hey,
the destroyed city?
or he call it, Gotham City.
Why you call it that, bro?
I don't know.
I mean,
it's named Sam calling it. I don't know.
So with Gotham City, I mean, pretty much everyone was run out of Gotham and the villains took over. I don't think that's the situation here, because the heroes are going to come back in control, but it's an interesting comparison.
I guess so. I still want to see if Nana and him did the thing. I mean, we all do, right? That still hasn't been confirmed nor denied. So it's been kind of like this ambiguous. Did they have a relationship? I don't know. Like, did he know? Did he know?
I don't think there was a relationship, but
if he did, it gives y'all short dude some hope, because Nana way taller than him.
But he was tall, but they went too short. He's like,
I've never had problems pulling taller women.
See,
it's called swag, my friend.
He'll climb them trees real easy, bro.
Goddamn right. So we didn't talk about this on villains, but Vash gave me a look when I said that I like long legs and I like gals' long legs. Bro, I've been with women as tall as gal. Me being short has nothing to do with me pulling women.
No difference. No,
no difference.
No, but like, listen. No, I'm not gonna do you like that today, Miguel. Anyway,
and plus,
you're back now, Jay.
And plus, I gave that look because I was more impressed. I was like, I like that. I'm not more of like, damn, wow, shocking. I was more impressed, like, hey,
yeah, bro, I want long legs to wrap around my head.
I'm not gonna roast you today. I
love to be squeezed by that, so I totally understand.
Now, sure you do. I want to get to where Deku leaves all of his classmates a note in the most Deku-ass thing possible.
Right?
In the most Deku way ever. He goes, hey guys, here's my secret. K gotta go, bye. He basically was like, hey, I could have texted all y'all because we all have cell phones.
Right?
But I'm going to write you all individual notes because I'm Deku.
Yo, that's not type of old school type of shit. Like, actually be like, time to write a note. Hey, Uraraka. Hey,
like a group.
Hey, Ida.
Well, I mean, Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have just texted him.
He could just send a group text message. Literally a group text message like tag.
But
he
wanted it to be more impactful because he knows it's important, but he wanted to write something specific to each person.
To each person, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, you nerd, but God, I love that kid.
Okay, so my question to you guys, I don't know if I think this, I'm just spitballing, but do you think that Ochako kind of figured it out before and she said that Deku's an idiot because he revealed it to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I truly think so. Like, let's be real. She's been in situations too many times where it just doesn't make sense. Like, it wouldn't have made sense. It's like, what the hell? Like, she has been there almost at every major step of the way in terms of his quirk, and his quirks like changing. Like, she obviously had figured out something was up, bro. Obviously. Even I feel like back when Black Whip, freaked out, she had to know something was up. I was like, hey, okay, you ain't never been able to do that.
Yeah.
What is this?
Like, boy, you're different. What's going on here? So, like, I'm so happy with.
I want to know how Bakugo's gonna react to this.
So we didn't see Bakugo.
Does Bakugo get a letter, and what does it say?
Theory time. Wait. Bakugo went with him.
I was gonna say that.
Bakugo gonna let him go by himself.
Why do you think that?
Because he's already said you can't do this by yourself, nerd.
Yep.
Stop trying to do this by yourself. Of course, Bakugo goes with him. There's no way.
I mean, but do you think that Deku still left on his own and Baku's gonna go find him?
No, they went together.
Okay,
they absolutely went together.
It's because Deku would
like
not.
I said, at this point, there's no way.
It's because Deku was gonna go by himself, but Bakugo knew what he was gonna do. He knew, so that's why he followed him and went together. He's like, "Hey, you can't go on your own. I'm gonna either go with you or fight you."
I bet he asked him. I bet Deku goes to Bakugo and says, "This is what we have to do to protect everyone else. If they're putting everybody in UA, I can't be there because they're coming after me." And he knows this, so they leave together.
They've been through so much, so I could see that as well. So like they've been through like hell and back with their type of chemistry and relationships. So I do see that as well. But
I think Deku goes off completely on his own, and Bakugo is going to go after him. That's what I think.
All right, so
I would also like to see that, but it's like
I have a theory as well.
It's like either you stay back and you're one of the strongest folks to protect people at the school, or you went with him in the first place and you trust everybody else is going to keep them safe.
All right, so I have a theory as well that involves with Deku or not in this type of scenario where how James had already saying, but Deku will be working with two peoples since he's by himself now with US students no more. He will be working with Stain and Gentle.
Who, Deku?
Yes, he'll be working with Stain and Gentle.
They might help him potentially. I mean, I absolutely think that they'll meet up again for sure. If not, I feel like just Stain. Personally, he's gonna meet up with Stain.
Yeah, like one or the other. It could be both, but I see him working with Stain, not like working like right away.
I hope it's more so Stain than Gentle. Like he has more to talk about with Stain.
Oh yeah.
If he sees Gentle, it's more like a nod of like, "Hey, thanks for the help." Because I guarantee you, Gentle's probably out there helping.
Yeah,
I hope so, man. I love Gentle so much,
and so I feel like, but there's a much better conversation to be had with Stain and Deku at this point. And I also want to see the Crawler out there, boy. I want to see him so bad.
Yes.
I think that would be dope,
see him
man.
Out there.
That'd be amazing.
So like for you folks that are caught up with Vigilantes, we all know that the Crawler would be perfectly fit for this situation. Like straight up. But I mean, we talked about it earlier. Deku operated as a Vigilante. No, he's got license, but this is a time for Vigilantes to step up.
Correct.
Right.
And be recognized as heroes after this,
right?
Because that line is like completely like wiped away. Because if you're out here working now, you're a hero. There ain't no qualifications at that point. You're doing the job when other people who were heroes decided not to.
I'm with you, Ray. Like those vigilantes deserve to be turned into heroes because those that went through and got their licenses aren't worthy to be called a hero.
Exactly.
That and also from what I heard from Sam and plus many others, that Vigilante is catching up to the present timeline of My Hero as well, with the current chapters of Vigilante is catching up.
Yeah.
So if it comes to this close, that means they could literally connect the story almost within the next couple of months or within the next couple of chapters.
It's always been connected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm saying more
timeline
wise is what I meant. Sorry, more the timeline to forge together. So that'd be crazy. But Ray, what do you want to talk about your theory that you mentioned behind the scenes about Muscular Man?
I mean, it's not really even like a theory. It's just like Deku says at the very end, "Oh, a giant villain." What's one giant villain that we know that he's got a history with? Muscular. Especially if he's like out there just being the wild, crazy ass dude he is.
I'll be honest, for this new version of Deku that we're getting, in order to get a full sense of what his powers are like, I think it needs to be a different type of villain. Because if Deku was able to beat Muscular when he was barely using 8% of One for All, this would be a wash for him. It would be such an easy fight for him to do.
One shot. Straight up one shot.
So to show what this like post like time skip Deku is able of doing, I think it needs to be a different villain. Muscular would be I still think it would be lame if it's Muscular. So, but I'll be okay if it happens.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But
same.
I mean, I've not seen anybody talking about it yet anywhere online, but did you notice what Deku's standing on and what hero that pays homage to?
Yeah.
It's so goddamn Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm like,
that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw it. I was like, this boy is on a gargoyle just like
that's
Batman.
Why
I'm like, that is such a Batman ass pose, bro.
I'm like, that's why Sam said Gotham City because of that pose and everything. I assume as well why Sam kind of mentioned that because like literally that pose and like literally.
Well, then he should have said that.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about the state of the city itself because in actual like Gotham City, the villains have overrun all of Gotham and the police have been run out of Gotham. And everything's in disarray. So I think that's what he was talking about, but I don't know. But everyone in chat wants to talk about the Deku's new costume. So let's talk about that. So Ray, tell them what we talked about off screen when you mentioned about the bands on his arms.
Yeah, so like because the guys were like, what are those bands on his arms? I was like, well, you remember that first movie where he's given these basically compression bands to let him use more of his strength? I believe that this is the main continuity version of those bands, so he can just use his power freely and not worry about it. This is
because I mean, how many years not years, but how much time has passed since that first movie to this point?
The first movie, I believe, is from season 2 and season 3. So from what I know, the first movie is between season 2 and season 3. The first movie.
So just a couple months, you think?
Yeah, a couple months more. So like, I get confused from the timeline. So maybe a good
best girl
months.
Is canon. I would love for Shield's daughter to be canon, straight up. But yeah, and so somebody said something about New York. Yeah, there's cherry blossoms in that page, so that confirms we're still in Japan, for me.
Yeah. So this would be amazing to finally people that kept saying, "Oh, those movies are not canon." Like, how about can you shut the fuck up? Because like it's like horror.
I mean, let's be real. Those movies have always been loosely canon. Straight up.
Yeah, but people want to complain like
the whole thing with 9 and Shigaraki.
That was more canon though. Like 9 was actually mentioned here.
That's why I said movie. That's why I said loosely connected.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they exist, but they don't have to be 1000% canon. Let's be real. Like they're fun to have. They're nice pieces to fill in gaps, give characters more story that they can't get in the main story. It's just fun. Can we not just have fun with these? God damn it!
Right. I really hope that this is an upgraded version of those bands because. I do too. Then it would be like, all right, we couldn't fully heal Deku's arms even with Erie's power. So this is what the support item is that he's going to use from now on, which allows him to use 100% without damaging himself. So that would be amazing.
If these are the bands that we're talking about, these are definitely big upgrade because in the movie it was only up to the wrist and show his hand.
Right.
This is goes all the way to the forearm from the. All the way to the shoulder from what we can realize. So this is definitely seem like an upgrade to what his arm is. So I'm very happy
Horikoshi just wanted us to see the prototype from that movie.
Exactly. He was like, I had this idea. Now I can fully realize it and use it now. So I feel like the movies are like testing grounds for ideas for him. It's like stuff that he had like thought about. And he's like, well, I haven't really found a place for this in the story yet. So now I can use it later on, which is awesome. I love that. So I'm hoping this next movie, we definitely get more Shoto growth, please.
But
yeah. I mean, all three of them are on the teaser poster for the next movie, so
that's true.
So I want that. So I have a question about the gloves, y'all. So you think the gloves still do that thing where they expand and he can do the air pressure thing, the air cannon, or is it just like he doesn't need it no more? What you think?
They look slightly different. I don't think he needs them anymore. I don't think he needs it. No,
I don't see the holes. I don't see the holes in the glove. I don't see the holes for the black whip either.
Yeah,
or for the air pressure.
Exactly. And they're smaller too.
Yeah, they look smaller. So I think he got a different upgrade from the girl from the department of mechanics. I forgot what her name is.
I think I'm just gonna call it a support team.
It's Hatsumi.
That pushes me to believe. I can't remember, but that pushes me to believe that the straps are definitely those bands that we're talking about, because he wouldn't need the gloves to focus on using air cannon anymore. So
right. Yeah, you're right.
So one of the questions,
it's the original gloves, I think. No, these definitely look smaller, at least to me. Like they absolutely look smaller.
So one of the questions
more refined, more built for mobility.
So one question that I saw from Denzel asking up, yo, what do you guys think? What happened with Deku? Will he be alright on his own, or will he be accompanied by Bakugo or possibly Todoroki? We did kind of answer that already, right?
Yeah, since he left the Hero Academy and he left letters for everyone. To me, this is Deku going off on his own for the foreseeable future. I think Deku and the rest of the class are going to try to help him, and I think he's going to reject their help because he needs to do this on his own. But I don't know, man. That's just what I think. Like, it could definitely go the way Ray is talking about it, and I would love it either way, honestly. I would love it either way, but I want Deku to kind of be a loner, because he has relied on people for so long. He's needed the assistance of other heroes and other classmates for so long. This is the perfect moment for him to go off on his own and figure out what type of hero he is by himself.
I respect that and completely understand, but I feel like he's also learned that he literally can't do this by himself as much as he wants to. He's going to work with the people who want to work with him, aka Bakugo, aka Mirio, aka Todoroki. They're out there with our boy, and somebody mentioned it in chat. He looks tired in that picture, and I bet you it's because he hasn't stopped since he got up and he was like, I have to go to work, and he just goes, and he's just been going nonstop because he knows how much he has to do to help people. He's probably been saving people legitimately nonstop.
I hope so, man.
Like all my,
and that's what Denzel, that's what Denzel just did ask.
Also,
does anyone else think that he's been in fights already because of his baggy eyes and my boy looks tired? Is what Rachel said. I think that could be true, because that's probably why his clothes are so ripped, because he's been fighting nonstop, because he's been action on fire.
He's been doing the work. So remember what they said. I mean, at this point, we all know that Deku was literally the most capable hero at this point. We've talked about this multiple times. All the other big heroes have been like basically beat down. And so he's out there doing his job. I mean, who wouldn't be depressed at this, bro? Yeah. The world that you grew up in is in shambles. And there was nothing you could really do about it. You tried your damnedest, and you still didn't manage to get the W.
And but Nathan, my dude in chapter 1 was excited to be a hero. Now in chapter 306, my dude has to be depressed of how much he's been going through for the past year and some change of months. He's been going through so much just because he met his mentor, his hero, and now has his power and has this big responsibility on top of his shoulders, and now he's doing it on his own. And even though Bakugo told him Kendall doesn't know, like Ray and us said, that would he be with Bakugo? Would he be with somebody? We will find out within the next couple of chapters. But he has so much weight on his shoulders right now. He has to be depressed. Who wouldn't be right now with all this right now going around him?
Well, I mean, but no more heroes retired too. He has all the power to do it. He has all the power to do it, and he knows that. Straight up. And I would say that he loves, I'm sure he loves doing this. He just hates that he has to do it in these circumstances.
Yes.
Right. Another question for you guys. So based on the last chapter, right, the first holder of One for All told the second and third user that they have to come together to help the successor. Do you think that at some point within the next like 4 or 5 chapters, we'll get to see one of their quirks?
Yeah. We'll get I feel like we might even see this next chapter. It's probably something big and flashy. It's got to be.
Yeah, in this next fight.
Yeah, this next fight. And then we get a flashback panel of like, this is what my power is, stupid kid, something like that.
I think so, because it's just what Pedro said. Do you guys think he'll unlock all the quirks, or does he need to prove himself to the second third user? Yes, most likely, because that's why the second third users were staring against the wall, because they don't see him as worthy, or they feel ashamed that they lost to 0 for 1, so they feel like, damn, how the fuck you're so lucky and everything. So it just really depends on what flashback we're gonna get, and I believe what James said, that we will see a quirk of theirs manifest within the next couple of chapters when you fight the giant villain and everything like that. So most likely will be the case.
You guys talked about this in 305 review. I think they're just ashamed of how they lost.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a situation where they don't see Deku as worthy. I don't subscribe to that. I think they're just ashamed of themselves because they thought that they would be the ones to take out All for One, and they couldn't.
And now
that's what I think.
It falls to this kid, you know.
And now it falls to this kid.
Yeah. Whoa! Look who's
Hey,
here.
Roger, what's good?
Well. I can't hear you. You muted. The number one My Hero hater is here.
Wait a minute. There we go.
Okay, what's up?
What's good?
I'm doing the rounds this morning, honestly. You said you're just kidding, but I'm doing the rounds. I did Church of MHA. I did my own reaction on my own main channel. I'm with you guys. I'm doing the rounds this morning. I gotta do my PR right now. So
he's out doing his Endeavor tour, y'all.
I'm doing my Endeavor apology tour. That's right.
What's up, man?
No, so I just did a live reaction to this chapter, and the main primary reason why I did this was I saw the rumors and the spoilers and stuff back on Tuesday, and I went, wow, this is totally what I wanted. This is the type of thing that I've wanted from Horikoshi for a while. I wanted to actually see stakes. I wanted to see something important happen, an actual paradigm shift in the story. And now the fact that we're getting that, and we're potentially approaching the final story saga of the series, and you've got Deku going Vigilante, I'm here for all of this. And so, as I mentioned on the church, as I mentioned in my reaction, I'm having a good time. This is good. This is what I've wanted. But the thing is, this is all I ever wanted. It was just I wanted them to follow through on things that are being set up. And I feel like towards the end of the war arc, it wasn't really there. And now we're at a point where, okay, the story can now move forward. We've got to focus on a primary character. We've got Deku. We're not worrying about all the other kids that are in the school right now. Endeavor's made his apology. We got the stuff with Todoroki and Toya and all that a couple chapters ago. That's done now too. The pieces are now all in place. You've got Deku with the Gran Torino cape, looking over the city, looking over at a villain, taking things into his own hands. That is what I wanted. And it is all the sweeter knowing that while I'm enjoying this, we are probably entering the final story arc of My Hero Academia, so I won't have to deal with these My Hero Academia fans on Twitter anymore. So it's a win on all ends, honestly. It's a win on all ends.
You know how happy it makes me here to hear you say this and this. You know what? And I know this is just this. It comes down to one word, and I've been telling people a long time: patience. It took a while, but it happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And I think honestly, that's all it was too. Like, because there were a lot of things I even mentioned on the Church of MHA discussion that were things that I really didn't like in the war arc, but now I am less harsh on now, having seen that we're entering the final story saga. And a lot of them were trying to be like, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, no, like you just said you hated this to begin with. And like, I'm like, well, you guys were setting it up to me like there was going to be a time skip and 300 more chapters. I'm like, why are you doing this? But if we're entering the final story saga, Mirio coming back doesn't bother me as much anymore. It's like, well, when else would Mirio have come in now? Okay, fine. We're entering the final story saga. We need Mirio there. That's fine. That doesn't bother me as much. Hado not being burned to a crisp and dead after everything. Fine. That's totally fine too. We need the big three. They need to be present. That's okay. That's fine. I would even argue somewhat, though I'm still unhappy about the fact that he hasn't dyed his Gran Torino.
Leave Grandpa alone!
Because Gran Torino, at least,
retired for sure.
Cape and Deku's wearing it and stuff like, and you got to have the moment with Gran Torino with All Might before then. Like, that's fine. Even that is somewhat okay at this point. I don't love it still, and I feel like there's a lot of other different things that could have happened in terms of death and other characters they could have killed off, like Gang Orca or the Pussycats or whatever, that would have left an impact.
What you mean, bro? There's like one Pussycat left.
well, no. All the Pussycats are still alive.
No.
Yeah. Are they all still alive?
They're all still alive. Yes.
But they're badly hurt, though.
They're hurt. Yeah, they're all still alive, unfortunately.
So are they really alive?
Yeah, like like for example, Miracle, she's badly hurt. Like, is she alive? Yeah, but she's literally lost an arm and leg.
Ragdoll doesn't have her quirk, but like she's still there. You know, she's still around.
But
she's still there. She's not Ragdoll no more. She's some. What's your civilian name? I need to know it because that's who you are now.
I have Ragdoll's mask over here somewhere because Reagan made it, so I can go pull it up.
I absolutely feel you. And you know what? I want to clarify something. Yeah. Roger's been on the show multiple times to talk about My Hero, and not once has he ever said that he actually hates My Hero Academia when he's talked with us. Not a single time.
I like My Hero. The reason I like My Hero and I'm critical of My Hero is because I like it,
and that's fine. You're passionate for it. You have a passion.
But I pinned the comment I pinned this morning in my reaction because I was like, clearly you just don't watch my videos. Is someone?
Like, YouTube.
He's such a hypocrite. Like, he doesn't do this for One Piece ever. I'm like, oh really? Let me dive into all the things that I hated in One Piece over the course of the past year and a half that I've not liked.
You preach about it.
New here. Yeah. I think it's people will see like, oh, primarily I'm a One Piece YouTuber or something. And then they see me tweet something negative about my hero and just assume, having never watched my content, that I'm not critical of One Piece in the slightest. But I'm like, if you've watched even one of my reviews, then you know I carry that same energy with everything that I cover. The only one I would maybe argue I don't is Attack on Titan. Maybe.
There's a little bias there, but you and James are similar.
Attack on Titan was my very first series I ever did videos on. Attack on Titan, I understand where people are coming from. I would never be angry at somebody for not liking what Attack on Titan. Exactly. But it's just, I like being critical of the things I like. I mean, that's just how it is.
But see, there's a difference of being critical with no like rationale behind it, just to be critical, which you don't do. You actually have rationale. You explain why you're critical of things. It's not like
except for Pop Team Epic. Even with Pop Team Epic, I've had reasons for not liking it. So that's actually not even true. I always have a reason.
He summed it up perfectly. People confuse criticism for hatred.
Yes.
It don't make sense. Just because I criticize something doesn't mean I hate it.
Absolutely.
I criticize pieces of the Snyder Cut. I didn't hate it by any means.
Exactly. It's so unrealistic to see something that you like, and just because you like it, you ignore all of the things that's wrong with it. Right. No, I can acknowledge the problems and still like something. Like, I have my issues with the Snyder Cut. It's not perfect.
Exactly.
But it's a great movie.
But I had a damn good time. Let me
tell you.
Of course.
And plus to add about like
there's stuff about my hero where I'm like, this could have been better, but I'm having a damn good time, bro.
I was gonna say, yeah, I watched the Snyder Cut.
I want to know your thoughts.
So you got to come on Villain to talk about that, is what you're saying.
It sounds like it.
So, I think so.
Damn, okay, that's interesting.
So Roger, I have a question for you.
Me too.
This is the point. How did you feel about the press conference with Endeavor, Hawks, and Chiefs?
That was going to be my question.
How'd you feel about that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's something I brought up in my reaction, in my discussion with Rex, and on the Church of MHA. So you're going to hear it again for the fourth time today.
Give us the
Let's go.
All right, here's the
Clip notes.
The press conference, I like the scene itself, but the press conference scene alone proves to me that Hero Society is now never going to crumble in the way that stands have been saying it's going to crumble, ever. Because the fact that they're actually there and not fearing for their lives from the public and all these other villains, and they're willing to just go out there and talk, says to me that there is at least somewhat still some faith in heroes. It might be that they're more critical of heroes. They're not worshiping them like gods anymore, but that's fine. That's good. That's normal. It should be like that. I think more than anything else, the war arc and now this most recent chapter has proven to me that Hero Society is not crumbling, but wavering, right? And it's going to take somebody like Deku, being a vigilante, taking it on for himself, being the new symbol of peace, to actually bring things back to where they were. But ultimately, the question that I would pose to people is, do we want to go back to where things were? Because we were talking about the Snyder Cut. It's like going back to sort of the Snyderverse of DCU or whatever, the way they talk about Superman and all these other characters, they see them as gods, right? Deifying these heroes is not the right way to go about it. It isn't. It's not the right way to go about it. It's treating them as equal individuals that are just more powerful than us, but that obviously we still have to understand where they're coming from. So ultimately, I liked the press conference scene. I thought it was pretty good having that character, talking about his mom and Gigantomachia and the stuff with Endeavor making the promise saying that, I'm going to take on all the villains, because honestly, at this point, that's all I can do, because he can't atone for things he's done in the past. He can only move forward. And obviously, we've already had that stuff with Shoto. So him and his family are going to have to go deal with deal with Toya on their own. So we know that's the case, but that's not the public's thing to deal with. That's their thing to deal with internally. The thing he owes to the public is to continue doing what he's doing and take on the villains, despite the fact that he's now been sort of shamed publicly, right? Yeah. Canceled publicly.
He got exposed publicly. So it's like, he's got to.
All he can do is still having been exposed, not turn his back on the public. And then that's it. That's the right way to go about it. So I was fine with that.
Completely agreed. Like I'm like, yep, this is what it is, bro. Yeah. I'm like, and I like that. This was so. What I'd like to say is this whole chapter was very much matter of fact.
Yes.
Like he's told you like it is. I mean, and not to say that it doesn't leave room for speculation about things, but he has like basically put the footnotes in a bunch of the story plots that we had already been seeing. He's like, this is what's happening with these characters. This is where this character is. These are what these characters know now. I'm like, this is what I wanted. We got a little bit more closure from a lot of the things that were going on. So I love this, because now I feel like we actually can move on to something else, and I don't really care. Like, I want to move forward now.
So, Roger, how do you feel about Deku revealing to his classmates about One for All?
That it's about time. Honestly, I feel like that's about time.
It's about time.
That's something I feel like should have happened probably a while ago, probably even before the war arc.
Right after 1A 1B when he almost blew everybody up. Yeah.
And the whole black whip in there. They're like, I'm like, boy, we got more powers. You got more quirks.
I understand why he waited until now, though, right? Because the whole thing now, the reason why I took it that Deku left is not because he wants to abandon his friends or the school or whatever. He's doing it because UA is now a shelter for people. And he knows that he's got a massive target on his back. And it's going to come out sooner rather than later that he's got All Might's quirk and that he's basically the one symbol of hope left for the rest of the world. So he's not going to risk his friends' lives. He's not going to do that. He knows he needs to go out and do what he needs to do at this point, because otherwise Ochiko's going to die, Bakugo's going to die, all these other people that are close to him are most likely going to die because all the villains will then turn in and run into UA. And I think even that scene of the parents, moving into the UA facility, right? Like Bakugo's mom and Deku's mom and stuff. Yeah, that says to me, even going back to what I was saying earlier, that Hero Society hasn't crumbled. Because if it has, obviously there's story ties to All Might and Aizawa and all these other heroes being at UA. If the Hero Society had truly crumbled, all of those villains from the prison break, all those villains that were running through the streets a couple chapters ago, they'd all be turning their eyes on UA, right? There'd be terrorist attack upon terrorist attack upon terrorist attack on UA right now. So clearly it is not that there's been this massive paradigm shift. Again, it's a wavering of hope as opposed to something of just like, okay, everyone's turned against the heroes.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. So do you feel like Deku is going to go off on his own and fight villains, or do you think that he's going to be accompanied by Bakugo? Because I think Deku is going to go out on his own for the exact same reason that you just said, because he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. And I think Bakugo is going to try to chase after him because he shouldn't be alone. But what do you feel about that?
And plus, my theory is that
I completely agree with you.
That he's with Stain, that he's going to somehow work with Stain or Gentle maybe, but more on Stain's side.
I love the idea of sort of Deku being a vigilante and then sort of having that like redemption saga for Stain and for Gentle and all of them working with him. I think that would be like, ultimately that is my ideal situation. I think that would be super sick, where you have Bakugo holding down the fort at the school, holding off any of the attacks. You've got Todoroki dealing with the stuff with his family, and you've got Deku handling the big boy stuff. Like that literally puts them in the position of all big three handling all these different situations, because Bakugo could really come into his own being like the primary protector of UA. Todoroki having to deal with the stuff with his father, meeting up with Toya and potentially having to put him down, and then Deku having to deal with the villains that are running loose. I love that idea. I think that concept could be really cool. And then, like you said, having Deku accompanied by Stain or Gentle. But I think it's much more likely in the overarching way of all this playing out that Bakugo will probably chase after Deku, and that Deku's going to do this on his own as Bakugo's like, no, look, I'm here with you to the end now. Like, I know what you've been through. I know you just revealed to our classmates that you have this quirk, but I've known for a long time, and I know you can't be alone anymore. I'm here to help you. And that he's there and I think that would be an interesting story take too. So honestly, whichever way Horikoshi takes the story, I'm fine with it now. I'm intrigued. Yeah,
I would love it either way.
Yeah.
That just gave me a theory that I'm gonna hold on to for a minute. But anyway, I'm gonna hold on to that one for a while actually, because that could be good. But so what you're saying is like, I like that. I like seeing like the big, like, so the new big three having their different arcs, which gives Horikoshi more space to write those stories more concentrated, which I would really like to see. It gives them all their own spaces to kind of flourish and have story flesh out around and about them.
And that was my primary issue too. If you remember when we were talking about the previous story arc, is that I feel like Horikoshi was losing focus, implementing all these new heroes and all these other kids during the 1A, 1B thing, all these other villains during My Villain Academia, where it's now gotten to a point that the cast is so big and we've never really spent enough time with each of these other primary characters that it's like, okay, well, we need to at least go back to them at some point. So just like you said, Ray, I think now the focus is on the big three, All Might, the primary characters now. We're not focusing on the sideline ones anymore.
Absolutely. I feel like it is just like, this is Deku's story, and he's going to remind you that this is about Deku, and you're about to see Deku take control of it. One thing I would love to really see though, so they gave us that glimpse of those world heroes coming in, like Deku being out there doing his job better than them, and they're like, what the hell? They're like, who is this kid?
And that'll be, that's something really cool that was set up in the previous chapter as well, the stuff with the international heroes. it's a shame to me that we are entering the finals. I'm happy that we're entering the final story saga, but it's also a shame to me that we are, because I feel like there's so much potential for Deku going to all these other countries. Seeing like what a hero society is like in a country with a massive population like China or India or something like that would be awesome. Seeing what it's like in America, where obviously My Hero Academia is already based on like American comics and all that kind of stuff. Seeing what things are like with like the celebrity hero that we saw in Vigilante. Captain Celebrity. That would be really cool. I would love to see some stuff like that. But ultimately, I feel like we're probably not. I think it's more likely that the international heroes are coming to us as opposed to us going to the international.
Which is what I also assume that mostly because I feel like, and my thought behind that was they're coming there because like they don't want him coming to where they are. So they're like, if we can stop him out here, we're good.
I think, to be honest, it's got a little bit of a Solo Leveling vibe to it, doesn't it? Where it's like the Red Gate in Japan, where they're all going to the Red Gate. So I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Yeah.
You're right. So my question to you, do you think this is actually the final act? Like, is it the beginning of the end of the beginning? Do you think we will not get like a Naruto Shippuden? Like, do you think this would be the next 150 chapters? Or do you think this would be like it's like a Chainsaw Man 1 and then Chainsaw Man 2? Do you think it's like that?
Yeah. So I have a bunch of different ways I feel about this, because there's like the way I personally feel about this, the way I think he's going to take it. When I read it for the first time and I saw that on Twitter, I was like, okay, we're entering the final story saga. This is it. Like, we're done. We got like 100, 150 maybe chapters, and that's it. And Horikoshi doesn't pull Oda's. Horikoshi has said he wanted to end this story in 30 volumes. He said that multiple times before, and that he had to extend it. He said that. He's on the record having said that. So I would not be surprised if this really is the end, and that we're getting into the final story saga, and we're not going to get a Shippuden, and that this time skip to April is our time skip, and that we're not getting like the grown-up heroes and anything like that until an epilogue. Maybe we get an epilogue type deal where we see them.
Long as it's better than that Harry Potter epilogue, we're fine.
I think that maybe we also don't speak of Harry Potter. I hate Harry Potter, so we're not even on the right.
Or if we have an epilogue of a whole nightmare sequence.
Well, we're not doing that either. Please don't give me a moment. Don't give me a moment in which Batman swears at the Joker, please. Thank you.
Or the Joker talks about giving, never mind. Anyway,
we'll talk about that later. That's a different discussion. I guess it's a hero discussion. We'll talk about it later.
There was another question that I wanted to ask you. This was something else that we were talking about. So the arm braces at the end, the end of this chapter, we were talking about this has to be the same like type of arm brace, just like an updated version from what we had from the first My Hero movie. That was a prototype in that movie, and now we have the actual thing, because his arms are just way too damaged and he needs support at him. So was that what you saw as well?
Yeah, well, the big thing that I noted was that he's got bandages on his arms, right? And whether it's like the actual brace or if it's bandages or whatever, I've come more along to the lines that I think you're right. And I think it is a brace to literally keep him to continue using his arms, because otherwise how the heck else is he going to use them? But when I first looked at it, when I saw him standing there, I thought it was literally just bandages wrapped on his arms, and that he's still being healed after all these months. But if it's a brace that he needs in order to use his powers, I think that's awesome. Yeah, because then again, it ties back to that original movie. It was already something that's been set up within the story, and that's great. You know, so
I think it'll be really awesome.
Yeah, super awesome to see using them.
But you know what? If this is like truly the final arc, I'm okay with this.
Me too.
And I'm gonna tell you why. I'd much rather have a story come to a complete end, meaning that the vision by the author has been seen through, rather than it be rushed because it's been going too long and now it has to.
Right.
Like, this I am okay with this book. You know,
because I mean, once Deku stops Shigaraki in whatever way he's going to do it, what do you do after that? Because the point of My Hero is the story of one for all versus all for one. So it's like after that, what do you even do?
And plus,
so I think it makes sense to have actual finality. And Horikoshi doesn't waste words. The final act begins. That tells me definitively this is the last arc, however many chapters it's going to be.
Yep.
But I think this is definitely the end.
And the cover spread too. I mean, you literally see Deku and Shigaraki mirrored. So I think that is setting up more than anything else that that's what's going to happen. Now, I personally don't know if I would love the idea of like, oh, Shigaraki's going to be redeemed and saved after everything. It's like,
oh, he ain't.
But I don't need him redeemed. What I do need is for Deku to put Shigaraki in prison. Right. I need him to save him and put him in prison so that he can be actually rehabilitated. Because what we learned from Tartarus is that they're not focusing on rehabilitating these villains. They're experimenting on them and forgetting about them. Exactly. I need that world to change, and I want Deku to be a part of that change by putting Shigaraki in prison and making sure that he's actually rehabilitated.
And plus,
wouldn't it be awesome if the prison system was actually completely changed? Like,
yes, we said that 2 weeks ago, Roger. We said this 2 weeks ago.
It's not just 2 weeks ago. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yes.
We're talking about prison reform and how he's talking about prison reform in this story.
And plus with this series, it's hard to have a sequel because they even said it 3 chapters ago that he cannot pass his quirk to somebody else because it's only good for somebody else that's quirkless. So for him to pass to somebody else, everyone has a quirk already, so it's hard for him to pass it down to somebody else. But what could happen for this series is another spin-off like Vigilantes, where you could just throw the other, South America, like you could focus on other countries, but with Deku's story, he's done
America,
after this.
My Hero India, My Hero China, My Hero Africa. That shit would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that. Have like all the different continents. Do in Australia and Africa, Europe, South America. I think that'd be sick.
I mean, he's already set it up. Like My Hero Vigilantes is literally a side story. So like this can happen.
I'm down with that.
Stuff like that can happen. Yeah, and he's also shown like other people can tell a really good story in his universe. Vigilantes is actually fantastic. Starts a little slow. Don't get me wrong, but it gets really good.
It's really good. Pop Step's the best. Pop Step is still one of my favorite My Hero characters. I love Pop Step.
But it's like I like, and he also made one of like the most ridiculous villains, period, in Vigilante. So let's be real. But I want to say this one final thing about this. So with Deku going out about this has this is Horikoshi putting the nail in the coffin of, you're going to see how our hero has grown. Yes, this was a kid when we first started because he was, but now he has grown into a hero. This is him taking the power that he was given, making it his own, and doing the damn thing he's always wanted to do. Not given the circumstances, which aren't great, by the way, but he's doing what he's got to do. And I love that about Deku. You've seen the progression. There has been nothing but progression with Deku. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Deku because the world is also progressing around him, which is hard to do in a story like this, but it's happening. And that's what I'm happy to see.
That's why I hate the criticisms of Deku being a crybaby. Like, when he started, he was like 14 years old. What does a 14-year-old know about the world? What do they know about
14-year-old nonetheless?
Exactly. They don't know anything about true responsibility. They don't know anything about being adults. He's 14. What do you expect from a 14-year-old?
That was always
and plus being asked to kill somebody at 16. Like, that's a big toll. Like, oh, you might have to kill my grandson Shiggy. Like, is that cool with you? You're like, oh, I could, but can I find another way? Like, that's a big question to ask somebody at 16.
Yeah. And I've never really understood that, where people don't like Deku just because he's a crybaby. I feel like that aspect of it I've always liked about My Hero. The emotional side of it is, I think, what makes it stand out from the rest of the other shonens that are out there, right? It's the fact that like the characters aren't afraid to cry. Like, I like that about My Hero. That's something that's always resonated with me. So yeah, I think, I don't know why people are always concerned with that and not really concerned with like story inconsistencies or like stakes not being followed through on. Because that's the stuff, if you're going to be critical of something, there's plenty to criticize My Hero on. But in terms of Deku, no, he's a great character. I like Deku.
And plus, like, he's human and everything. But Roger, there's a question for you to know. How did you feel about Hawks trying to kill twice and his response to the press about it? How did you feel about it? Because that's one question in the chat that I asked about.
Look, what else is he going to do? I feel like that's the kind of thing, that's what Hawks even said in the press conference. What else is he going to do in that moment, right? Hawks is not a Deku. Hawks is not somebody who's looking to save everybody. Hawks is looking to save humanity, society, right? Everybody. He's not thinking about like what's going to make him sleep at night, but ultimately twice had to go. So that's like, it is what it is.
And he literally says that. He literally says that.
He's like, that exact thing in the
look. Twice had to go, or else this would have been way worse, bro. And I'm like, you know what? You right.
I like Twice. I think he's one of the few villains I actually sympathized with. But at the end of the day, he had to go. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, big. So this is a side theory that y'all think Toga's gonna help Deku?
Toga could honestly be on the side of Stain and Gentle and the rest of them as sort of like the reformed villains that make up a team of vigilantes to work with him. I mean, again, I don't want to hype myself up because I think we did this with the war arc, and I hyped myself up, and then I didn't end up really getting.
I mean, hype is its own killer, bro. Yeah.
See, the only thing I feel like you can always safely hype Smash Brothers characters, always, because there's always Sakurai's always going to do some wild thing that you're never going to expect one way or the other.
I got
whether you like it or dislike it,
bro.
I'm just waiting for Master Chief. I'm waiting for Master Chief to join in.
I feel like you can safely hype Smash characters because Sakurai, even if you don't like the character, always does a good job with the trailers. Where even I didn't like Minecraft Steve either, but I sat there and I did my live reaction and it still got 200,000 views because I was like, "What the hell, Minecraft Steve?"
And I think that's what he anticipated. They're not gonna see it coming.
Exactly. Whereas like
damn Toga though, that's interesting.
Of what's going to happen in the story arc? Yeah, I think Toga would be a very interesting one.
I think and I feel like that'd be a really interesting
turn of events.
When Ochako finds them later on, and she's like, "Wait, you're working with her."
Oh damn, yeah, I think I'm jealous now.
I mean, that's also something else too. The way it's been set up in the story, right? That Toga has this love for Deku, that like she would go work with Deku if it became like between Deku and Shigaraki. I feel like ultimately, based on how everything's going right now, the trajectory of what's going to happen in society, I see a situation in which Deku could save Toga and sort of bring her to the light. Yeah,
absolutely.
I see the panel right now of Toga and Deku coming face to face, and that's the cliffhanger of the chapter. And then the next chapter, you get that discussion with them, and Deku's like, "No, believe me, I want to work with you," and holds his hand out, and Toga bites down on it. It's like proof that he actually is willing to work with her and accepts her way of showing love. I see it right now. I literally see that exact panel.
Yeah, so, that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. Like we've talked about many times before. These are marks of a true hero.
Right, accepting the villains for what they are and fighting for them. Absolutely.
And plus Toga still has to ask him the question of like, how far would you go to save somebody? Like, what is it? Like, who will you save? So Toga still has to ask the question for him, like about it.
And he says, "I want to save Shigaraki," and that's the right answer. There you go. Yep. Exactly. Yeah,
that's it.
I just hope we also get something about Spinner, because with Spinner he knows that's not Shiggy. So I'm curious to like, yo, Spinner, what the fuck you doing, my guy?
He's the one who I think I truly do think like sees Stain and literally goes to follow Stain. Like he wants to, and that's how he's gonna go. That's his way of helping.
That's what leading into. Like I hope he gets that type of route.
Spinner's one of those characters, where you see this a lot with like superhero things. It's like that character who just always seems to stay alive despite everything. Where you're like, how? How are you managing through all of this?
And you're just a gecko, right? Like, what's your power? You're just a gecko
running around with a Stain.
So no, I definitely see him like joining up with Stain in order to help get Shigaraki back.
Yeah, I agree. Yep,
I would love that.
Yeah.
But Roger, do you have any questions for us or any last thoughts about the chapter? Like anything that any type of theories that you have for this?
Yeah. What do you guys think of the Snyder Cut?
I had a great time.
Genuinely, if you could wrap it up in like a sentence or two, like what do you think of it? I am genuinely curious.
And James, go first.
Topic of heroes.
Yeah, I think the Snyder Cut is near perfection. What it did is, that's me.
Okay.
I'm curious to have him on the show.
I'm a huge Snyder fanboy, but I think that he was able to actually give perfect characterizations to each member of the Justice League, so that once you got to the end, those team up moments and their motivations all made more sense than the theatrical cut. Steppenwolf is actually a character. He's not just some one-note villain. He's an antagonist that's trying to fight for his own freedom to get back into the good graces
50,000 worlds
of dark, right?
That was a big ass.
So it's like the stakes were actually as large as they needed to be. Characters actually had characterizations, and the 4 hours flew by to me. I thought the editing, the pacing was absolutely perfect. My only nitpicks of the movie, it has to do with the Aquaman stuff, and that's only because you can tell that WB never really had a plan as to what the rules of Aquaman would be.
Sure.
So that is my only real nitpick.
What was the thing that was like incorrect with the way that they set up Aquaman in the Zack Snyder cut versus the Aquaman film?
In Snyder's cut, the Atlanteans use air bubbles to talk. In Aquaman,
that's right.
They just talk underwater because that's what makes sense.
Sure. Of course.
Mira doesn't have an accent in Aquaman.
That's right.
In the Snyder Cut, her parents are dead, but in Aquaman, he's alive.
Sure.
So it's like those inconsistencies. And the biggest problem for me is that Justice League came out in 2017, Aquaman came out in 2018. Right. So there's no excuse why they didn't have meetings to make sure that the continuity was intact.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's my issue, and that's not Snyder's fault.
No. I feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna let everyone else talk, and then I'll give my opinions.
Roger, we definitely need to have you on the show, Villains.
So I'll go next in that case. So I won't say that it's perfection. I just feel like this is the best version of this movie. Like just in this encapsulated movie, this is the best version of this movie, which still has problems, as we all saw. But I don't know. It brings up an interesting argument of like how these superhero stories can be told and why they do need kind of a more long form medium to actually tell a decent story. To be honest with you, like I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. Like that's why I'll tell you every time. I had a lot of fun watching the Snyder Cut. It's just I also thought it was really long. I'm not going front. Like I hit a certain point where I'm like, oh, okay, it's all right, cool, weird. Part 3 now, and I'm like, but there's still like 3 hours left.
I got to Act 2, and I was like, oh, this has only been an hour.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. I will say that they absolutely. Man. You can see that some characters had to take a back seat because they were more of the focus. That was Cyborg's movie, and I love that about it. It's just that then everybody else had kind of come in. I mean, there is a part where you can see this clearly could have been 2 movies. It hits the part where Batman goes, there are 5 of us, but there should be 6. Boom, credits, wait till the next movie, and then the whole next movie happens.
You could have done that. That's true.
That could have happened. And I'm like, so like from the start, they should have just let this happen. And like they should have just let these movies been what they were. And I feel like we all would have had a good time. They would have made a ton of money, and it would have been great. Because think about it, those 2 movies, that second movie would have come out about the time before, like of Infinity War Endgame. Imagine how amazing that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, Justice League 2 would have been around.
The reason why this couldn't be 2 parts is that part 2 is supposed to be about Darkseid coming for what he's looking for, right?
Sure.
And the reason why I don't
the whole 3rd movie, I think that would have been a 3rd.
Well, there would have been a trilogy, right?
Yeah, it would have been a trilogy. That would have been the 3rd movie. Well, so it would have been sick. I think
it's because the plan. It's because the plan of trilogy is going to involve.
WB's plan was to do a Justice League Part 1 and a Part 2. So there was never a plan for a Part 3. And the runtime doesn't bother me because some of my favorite films are Cleopatra, Gone with the Wind, the Lord of the Rings movies. Like I love cinema. You guys know me. I'm a cinephile.
Of course.
Of course we know that.
You could sit and watch a movie forever. I know.
I would.
I know.
I'd rather watch a TV series.
It could have been 12 hours. I would get a pee bottle. I'm not pausing. I'm not leaving.
Nah. I'm pausing. I'm going to bathroom in my own crib. Hell yeah, I'm going to bathroom in my own crib.
Had it been like 10 minutes over that 4 hours and 2 minutes mark, I probably would have been like, I'll finish this later, and probably would have never finished. And that's just me. But like I said, I had fun, and that's about all I wanted. I wanted to have fun. That's it.
Right on. And
like James asked me, I think 2 days ago on the night of villains, he asked me the Avengers first movie or the Snyder Cut Justice League. I took some time to think about. I told James my answer that night, and I stick with my answer. Justice League Zack Snyder Cut over the first Avengers, because
I don't think that's a fair comparison. But
the first Avengers, Avengers.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair comparison. I don't think that's a fair comparison due to
how long this fucking movie is.
Well, not just that, but like due to the amount of extra weight Justice League was forced to carry by not having all the other movies beforehand. Because Avengers, you can watch Avengers and enjoy it because you've already spent time with all these characters. Justice League acts as exposition for literally half of them. In addition to, you have to have watched Batman versus Superman and understand all the stuff that went there too. So I don't necessarily think that's
it's got to completely characterize 2 characters you haven't even been introduced to, really.
Right. So that's why I respect the Snyder Cut, and that's why I think it's kind of better than the first Avengers. Is that the first Avengers
had 4 hours to flesh out all of its characters.
And you're right.
Imagine the Avengers had 4 hours to bring all those people together after they scat. Bro,
I mean, Avengers had hours and hours of movies to get to that point, and the Snyder Cut gave me characterization and motivations for all of these characters that didn't have their own movies before. So as a film, regardless of runtime, that's where it succeeds over the first Avengers for me personally. But I get where you're coming from.
2 hours is what I'm telling you.
All right, so
definitely not. Definitely.
All right, so just to finish my thought of what I was saying,
go ahead.
Me being a big fan of Flash, me being a big fan of Teen Titans, knowing about Cyborg and everything, and being a big fan of the Batman lore of Nightwing and Batmanness of his character, I defended what it was with the Josh Whedon Snyder movie film years ago, not because it was bad or good, it's just because I was a fan of Justice League itself, the lore.
Sure.
But seeing Snyder cut this version, it made me love it more because we actually saw a film, good editing, good transition, seeing Lois Lane not just popping out of nowhere.
A whole ass movie. That's what we saw.
Yeah, an actual movie. And I
right.
love that for that reason. And we see a motivation for each character, the Flash, knowing about the Speed Force, knowing that he needs to break this rule, knowing that he needs Cyborg having a reasoning about his father and everything. So I love this movie for that. I will give, if you ask me about score, I'll give it a good solid 9 out of 10. The small things about Lex Luthor, his acting still bothers me and everything, his choices of how he acted, and
I preferred him at the end of this movie over the whole entirety of Batman vs Superman, but that's just me.
Same. Like he did improve some stuff. Yes.
So,
but
yeah.
And for the Joker, Jared Leto, best version of his Joker ever throughout this whole past things he has done. So Jared Leto.
Okay, I was like of his Joker, sure.
Yeah, of his Joker. I say of his version of Joker.
Better than Cholo Joker with the grill on. It's like, that's better.
Yeah. His version so much better. That conversation with Batman in the whole nightmare sequence, amazing. So this film was definitely a 9 out of 10. I enjoy it. I will definitely watch it again in a watch party on Discord or whatever with anybody that wants to watch it again, or with James, because I know he wants to do a whole time of commentary, a 4 hours too. That'll be a fun commentary. But definitely this one was really enjoyable as hell. Roger.
So I made you guys wait, so now I'm going to tell you. So I really, really hated the original Justice League. Like,
understandable.
Really hated it with a passion. Not only did I think it was a bad movie, but I feel like so much of the casting in that film, from Ezra Miller as the Flash to the stuff with, Lex Luthor, which carried over from, Batman vs Superman. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of casting decisions where I'm like, not only, sometimes you see a person cast and you go, that's a weird casting choice, but then you see the movie and you're like, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. That was one where from beginning to end, and after I got into cinema, I was like, I don't like these characters, I don't like this casting, and I don't know if I ever will. I feel like with that to work with, when you have a steaming pile of dog poop that was your original film,
big facts.
And that's what it was.
It's true.
I feel like the Zack Snyder Cut is unquestionably a far, far better film.
Yep.
Pure perfection, I was sort of like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, same.
Hold on a minute.
Well, I said it was near perfection.
I
said
near
perfection.
Sure. About biases between certain things.
Yeah. Of course.
And that's okay. I love James for that. He loves this stuff. He's passionate about it.
I love the DC characters. I always do. In fact, I like the DC characters more than the Marvel characters still, despite the fact we spent so much time with them.
Yeah.
I like characters like Batman more than, and his entire rogue gallery, than literally the entirety of the Marvel universe. Like, I would take Batman in the Marvel. Yeah.
The only person I would pick from the Marvel would be Black Panther over like Superman alone.
Yeah, Black Panther's cool. Yeah,
and Spider-Man. Yeah. And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man's all right too, sure. But like, I think
with in the comics wise.
I think the thing I appreciated is I appreciated that it was actually darker, that they decided to go, okay, everything's going to be a lot more epic. There's reasons for all of this. There's motivations for these characters. We actually got to spend time with Cyborg. I thought that was cool as well. The moment with the mother box, Steppenwolf turning him into an actual character as well, I thought was good. Him being an alien instead of being like this dude with the horns or whatever before. Like, I like the fact that he actually is an alien. That whole sequence where like she beheads him and chops off the horn and then throws him through the portal.
Amazing.
That was awesome. And then stepping on him. That was sick. Like that was good. But I think my primary gripe with it, if I had two major primary gripes, one, I feel like it could have easily been 3 hours. Easily, if you just took out so much of the slow-mo. There's so much unnecessary slow-mo with the Flash where I'm just like, bro, this does not need to be here. Even in the sequence at the ending where they're running around
he's fast.
where he's looping around the facility, like near the end of the movie, it's literally
that's his
the exact
style.
same shot. He says the exact same thing over and over and over again. It's like you could have shown me that twice and I would have been good. Yeah. And so I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that, which is just trimming of the fat that would have made it a lot more like a much tighter movie. and I would have probably enjoyed it a lot more for that. The other thing too, and this is something I don't think I'm ever going to get over, I just don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I think he's a really bad choice for Barry Allen, and I can't even really put my finger on it beyond like I just don't really think
it's the way he's written, bro. I don't think it's Ezra because
he's
that version is not Barry Allen.
It's not.
It's like some weird
as Wally and Barry mixed together.
Like Wally
and with Bart
Barry
as well.
That Zack Snyder wanted to make. Like it doesn't work.
It was fun to see him interacting with Aquaman and stuff like that. I think those scenes were probably my favorite scenes with the Flash, is the ones where he's actually talking. Or like, this scene where he points after Superman. Like, that was cool too.
That was amazing.
But I think on the whole, the other thing that sort of upset me about this is that, we're never going to get a sequel to this. So all this stuff you're setting up with like Martian Manhunter and all this stuff with like
Roger,
you're literally never going to get this.
We are a hopeful podcast.
But those spoilers, guys, I apologize for that.
Away my hope.
No, but okay, but realistically, right? You've got Batman is now recast. He's Robert Pattinson. You got his whole other movie.
I'm okay.
That's a different universe.
Yeah, there's a difference.
I don't see a situation in which Ben Affleck is going to come back to this.
So
it's possible.
So his contract, hold up. His contract is up, and Walter Hamada has already confirmed that they're moving with a different actor. So that's already been confirmed.
So that's a different Batman then in this universe, even
in the DCEU, but the events of Zack Snyder's Justice League is technically not canon.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a standalone now, is what I'm
assuming. So my guess is most likely they would just go off of the original Justice League and then make a sequel to that with a new Batman actor. But then at that point, it's like, why are you doing this? Just like let it die.
They have a scapegoat, the Flash.
It's like me and James have said before. DC/Warner Bros. Need to have a continuity head leader like Kevin Feige. They need to understand, like, what the fuck y'all gonna do? Like, where's your direction in your moves? Where's your direction in your storyline? Where are you heading with the stories of? Because you're gonna have a Green Lantern type of miniseries on HBO Max.
Max, right?
Yeah, but what is it for? Do you have a reason of why you're gonna launch it? Is there gonna have a reason to connect to the movies? Like, you guys could announce this type of series, but is it going to connect? Is it going to be a standalone? Like, there is no type of connection tissue, and that's important for these type of films. If you're going to have a much bigger, grander scale, like the whole MCU have been building for the past 12, 15 years now.
I'm okay with that because they finally realize that they can't be like the MCU, and they're doing the multiverse thing,
which is fine.
Matt Reeves's Batman trilogy has nothing to do with the DCEU.
Right.
Much like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, that's a completely different universe. The Green Lantern series is going to be a different universe.
That one thing I don't buy. I don't care how many times they say it. I don't buy it. I truly believe Joaquin Phoenix's Joker will be in the Robert Pattinson Batman, probably as the end teaser, because we have clearly not seen anything Joker related in any of the trailers, teasers, anything of the Robert Pattinson one. This is very clearly a Riddler-focused movie. Some stuff
they're starting off with the Long Halloween.
Yeah, the Long Halloween.
So this movie is going to be about the Long Halloween. So you're gonna get villains like what's his name? It's not Clockman. I can't remember his name right now. Calendar Man. Right. The Riddler and a bunch of other characters that showed up.
I still part of me believes that in that universe, because they're obviously, if it's successful, they're going to want to continue, I think, doing another Batman trilogy similar to what happened with The Dark Knight. If people are liking Robert Pattinson as Batman, and maybe potentially not connecting it to the other DC movies outside of like a Flashpoint type deal thing. So if that's the case, I feel like because of how successful Joker was, like how astronomically successful that movie was, there's no way I see them not bringing Joaquin Phoenix back as Joker in some capacity. And I feel like Joaquin Phoenix and Robert Pattinson have both sort of proven themselves as like have been really good actors. And I think it's too lucrative an opportunity for them to pass up. And timeline wise, you could easily have it be where Robert Pattinson, that is the same little kid we see in Joker. Right. That's the same little Bruce Wayne. I mean, it's the same thing. They could easily have that be the thing. So
I just think it's a separate universe because, multiverse is DC. They can do shit like that and be completely fine with it.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that, but I kind of want it to be separate,
like a standalone thing. I can see that. I want both.
Whereas, like the stuff, like the thing they never need to touch again. Don't ever bring back Jared Leto Joker, bro. Like I never need that. I never
see that version.
I'm gonna fight you.
I want the Nightmare sequence because I believe in him. He did good. He did good as Nightmare sequence.
You did not have enough time in Suicide Squad to get a real grasp of what that character is like. On top of that, that's not even Ayer's version. WB took over that movie,
right.
And whatever they wrote is not the actual Joker that it's supposed to be.
No,
so I would like
Zack
one
Snyder
more
Justice League Joker. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I need that.
Yeah.
I want that version of him because that version was actually good. The dialogue, the way he laughed, the slow speaking.
I didn't like the laugh though.
Really?
Yeah, I still don't like the laugh.
I did enjoy it. I don't know, like
for me.
that slow cackle and everything. I did enjoy for what it is.
The thing to me that still stands out, and this is with all the Zack Snyder DC movies, and it's just something I've come to accept. And this is not really like, if he wants to take it in this direction, that's fine. But the moment for me where Batman says during that nightmare sequence, "Oh, and rest assured, I will fucking kill you," I was like, whoa, hold on a minute, Batman. Batman would never in a million years say that to Joker, ever.
Dark Knight
Yes.
Returns Batman would.
Dark Knight Returns, yes.
Affleck's Batman is
He
based off
never,
of.
he is
In Dark Knight Returns, yes.
"I will effing kill you, Joker," in the Dark Knight Returns. He
Yes,
says that.
he doesn't say those words, but I'm trying to say that the character that they've built is so Dark Knight Returns.
There are so many different Batman.
Yeah, there's a lot of versions of Batman.
If we talk about Kingdom Come Batman, he murders everyone.
Of course.
Yes.
Who he has a problem with?
Idea of in a film, a Batman with a gun in a trench coat talking to a Joker and telling him he's gonna effing kill him, surrounded by Deathstroke and Mira and Cyborg in like this nightmare universe. It just, the whole thing to me came off, that sequence at least is probably my least favorite portion of the whole Zack Snyder Justice League thing.
Also, wait,
it comes off to me as like, this is an idea that I had that's never going to come true, and we just have this budget. Let's just throw it in here. I'm going to sort of do a little bit of a fan fiction at the end of this movie.
Yes, and
no, need to necessarily
that's
do
not,
that.
so that's not fair though, Roger.
So I do want to add
because that's not fair because it was supposed to be canon. That was supposed to be canon before
it was.
Yes, before WB decided to eliminate what Zack Snyder was working on. All of that stuff is canon. The other thing that you have to think about,
that sequence was filmed after Justice League had ended, though. That's extra filler content.
That was supposed to
part 2 of the film
off of the nightmare sequence from BVS.
Yes.
So all of that was technically supposed to continue in the Snyderverse.
And to add also
supposed to be in Batman versus Superman.
That was supposed to be the continuation from
of the storyline
from Batman versus
Superman. Got it.
And plus, this film did not really exactly what was going on, because in the background of the nightmare sequence, it was showing the anti-life equation. The anti-life equation also takes the freedom of will and also changes.
Fucking spoilers, Vash.
I know.
No, I know what that is. Don't worry, I know what that is.
No, but for the people in chat that haven't seen it.
All right.
That's fine. Whatever.
In case they get into the apologies, but if
they haven't watched it at this point, that's their fault.
That's true.
Christ,
we're talking about Hero Podcast.
That's a huge movie, bro. That's a huge spoiler, bro.
All right, I apologize if you have not watched this film. If you've been here with us for the past 20 minutes of us talking about it, we're 20 minutes in the conversation of this movie. I think they should be gone.
That sounds like an excuse to me.
I didn't say it.
Anyway. But those people changed. Those people have different viewpoint after, because of what I just said, the anti-life equation.
Yeah.
That they're different, Batman and everything, because that takes the freedom of will, and everybody are different. That's why Superman is like that, because he can control by dark side and everything. So that's why people are different in the personality.
Wrong. Lois is the key. Lois got murdered, and much like Injustice and other storylines in the comics, it's because of Lois's death Superman doesn't know what else to do, and Darkseid takes him under his wing.
Because it's much easier, because that's what because of the anti-life equation control him.
It literally shows you that.
No, it has nothing to do with the
anti-life equation. You see the sequence with him holding, and then you see Darkseid behind him.
So what you're saying, James, is exactly what happens. Like Darkseid shows up and is like, hey, you ain't got nobody you can relate to at all. I'm here. This is what you should do. Look at what they let happen to you, essentially.
Yes, that has nothing to do with the anti-life equation.
No, it does not. It does not.
What Darkseid wants to do with the anti-life equation is to reboot life from the Big Bang and start it over where he's the ruler of all of the existence in the multiverse. So he doesn't need that to turn Superman. How he turns Superman is after Lois's death, he doesn't know how to cope, and Darkseid takes him under his wing.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right. Wasn't the whole thing too that like in the continuation of his story that it was going to be like Lois Lane and Superman's kid was going to end up being Batman at the end of all of it, and like
Yes, that was.
That's something that I heard. Yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure I read it.
No, it's true, James.
That's why I brought it up, James.
This was in the storyline of the storyboard that Zach had in a whole whiteboard and everything.
I know.
Right.
And that came in an article.
That's what I was talking about.
So this whole thing that
I was like, wait a minute. I saw this on your timeline.
Yeah.
How do you mean? You're saying like, oh, I think so. It's like, I know.
No. I saw the report and then I put it in and I was like, I hate
it. Yeah. Anyway, bringing things back to My Hero Academia, real quick, to loop everything back around.
Yeah,
the last
because
thing I want to
Deku was
say,
standing like Batman at the end. There you go.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man and Superman.
No, but I think this goes back to really what we were talking about, expectations, whether it's Justice League or My Hero or whatever, right? Is that it really, I don't want to set up expectations for where we are right now. I like the direction Horikoshi's taking the story, but I no longer want to set up expectations of, I think this is going to be the final story saga. I think we're doing a time skip. I think it could be another 300 chapters, whatever. I'm going to let the story ride at this point. But I'm going to take him at his word now that he set this up, because Horikoshi hasn't backed down on this stuff in the past. I am now taking him at his word that we are entering the final story saga. And if that's the case, I feel less bothered by a lot of things that happened at the end of the war arc, and I'm actually willing to give this another chance and to continue reading the story. I've been doing it obviously off camera, but I mean like in terms of making content and things, like actually discussing it with an audience. And that's why I was so excited to read this chapter today and why I wanted to hop on this. I saw Vash sent me the DM and was like, hey, you want to hop in? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm making the rounds this morning. I got other videos I got to do, but I'm going to try. But I'm really happy that I was able to make it. And we were able to talk about My Hero in addition to Justice League.
I'm so glad you slid in, man. Like, for real.
Of course.
Like, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
That was a very welcome surprise for me. I was like, oh, shit, Roger's here. Yeah.
Well, Vash should have told you.
I mean, he did, but it was just like
I didn't.
Show up? I forgot.
I didn't.
So,
you didn't tell them, so I'm just going to randomly appear?
That was the point, because look,
asked you, but
I didn't ask you.
But
thing is, Roger did not confirm he was coming. I saw like, hey, if he comes up, that's why I had the meeting public, so I don't have to let him in. I could just have the whole team surprised, like, oh shit, he came in, like, yeah,
I've been so busy with Naruto recently and all these other series, I haven't really had time to like go guest on other things like I normally do, and so it's been fun. I was like every opportunity I could with My Hero. I'm like, anybody who wants to talk about it, I'm hopping.
And talk about Naruto as well, because
okay, so that'll be when I finish Naruto.
Okay,
when I finish Super Dead.
Wait, but I think
we'll do discussions about it.
Absolutely. I think you could come back since you finished the Naruto and you
part one.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could come.
No, with you around, he's got to finish it so he doesn't get spoiled. Okay,
right?
Come on.
Equation in Naruto, all right.
I know my limits. If we're gonna have a full podcast episode of part one only, I'm not gonna bring what's gonna happen in Naruto. Ship it in.
Listen, listen. I'm not listening to you. Nope.
Fair enough.
No.
But
well, I'm gonna
Roger, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it.
All the time, bro.
You're here. Absolutely welcome anytime. You could pop up anytime. We're here Sundays all the time, so you can pop up anytime you want, man.
I'm down.
Thank you.
Plus Ultra, appreciate it. James, I'm going to be watching your timeline for more movie news. I'm telling you, man.
And definitely join Villains.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate
it. Join Villains sometime soon.
We have to get you on Villains, bro.
Absolutely,
we have to get you on Villains.
Absolutely. When I find a time to actually be able to do it, I absolutely want to be on it.
It's Friday nights we're on.
Pop culture.
Every Friday nights.
Friday nights. I will keep that in mind. All right.
Copy.
Sweet. Take care, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
Oh, that was a lot of fun, guys.
Oh, man, that was awesome.
But this is about a show. This is probably the longest My Hero Academia discussion / Snyder Cut we kind of spoke about here. So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, hour 45.
Hour 45. I mean, you might pull this one down, cut that, put out as his own thing, and put it back up.
I might just do that. I might just do that. Yeah, I might just do that. Just have a whole portion about that. But overall, guys, thank you guys for joining here. Like, comment, subscribe, and you can follow James and Ray on their most respectable places, or we can find the YouTube channel, Twitch, and everything. Thank you guys for following us, and stay tuned for Black Core discussion might happen, Attack on Titan, Jobless, a lot of videos will be happening out through this week.
I gotta eat.
So definitely stay tuned, guys. See you in the next one.
Bye.